Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, Eli, Adam Meakin, Chocolate Saying, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello.
Afternoon, everyone.
Come on, Eli, do it again.
Come on.
Hey,
Hello.
Nice. You're getting usurped, Nate. Do it, Eli. Do it.
Come on, Eli.
Holla at your boys over at the FED where the globe gets smashed.
Is that the New York? He was pimping for your job, Nathan, when you
Come
were
on, somebody fill Nathan in.
He came in and genuinely we thought he'd started the show. And Eli came in and did not a bad impression. Not a good one either.
Oh, you're talking about, when I said, welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Elijah Freeman.
Very good, very good.
At first, I thought you changed it.
Well, would you a Darth, aren't we? Would you what's it called? Globe Earth Dictate? It's about that time. Surely he's putting one together.
Oh, I hope I'm in it.
Yeah, he needs to get on that, man. We need a we need an updated version of the Globe Earth Dictate.
I will have arrived.
I hope Neil's in it, just for our sakes.
We need a cocky, over-talking New Yorker in. Right, let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence that you can have a curved adjacent whilst acquiring an elevation angle?
I thought you were going to save that for last all the time.
No, only yesterday, because prior to that it was new for the last 10 days or so, and every day it was developing into an elongated conversation, and we hadn't got through the housekeeping questions in the entirety, so I thought I'll put it last just to make sure we get through them.
Anyway, in order, you can't have a curved adjacent to an elevation angle, or any angle.
2 straight lines. Flat Earth required. Elevation angle will be taken from a flat baseline.
Yep.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Only mathematical evidence, which is not evidence, so no.
It's not evidence. It only exists in the maths. The only site of its existence is within mathematics, but I won't call that evidence.
The horizon's not Earth curvature.
Does it appear behind math?
The math describes a concept or something happening or repeating in reality, but the problem is when you apply globe suppositions to reality, they never come up true. Like the distance to the horizon, never true ever.
You can't see it. It doesn't exist, but they get math for it. So it's a thought experiment. It's not real.
But how do you have a distance to an apparent location? Like, can you get there?
No.
Like that's my favorite question. Oh, you have a distance to that place? What if I try to go there? Does the horizon stay there and I could just park? Or does it move? because it's an apparent location based on optics.
I've got a daddy pig response to that as we were talking about the Earth, and that was my given character. There's a song. North Star, are you near or are you far? Can we get there in the car?
Gotta have some type of car.
You can never be optical.
Not saying you aren't, they're asking, can you?
Describing distance
just say no.
to an optical effect. Sorry.
No, just say no, and we can move on from this horrendous singing. The sentiment's
I don't think
perfect.
we can
though.
get there in a car.
No.
There you go then. Daddy
How
pig
the
was
sky
right.
and the ground never actually meet. How do you get there? What distance does the sky and ground meet at?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Right. Any evidence of the distance to Polaris?
No.
Got a song about it.
That would be like the North Star we were just singing about, right?
Yeah, these
Adam,
angle
Adam, did you
measurements. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, did Adam trade in his car for a sleigh?
It's coming up to Christmas if anyone's watching after the fact and they don't understand why we're asking. So
I've had, just on the Polaris thing, I've had people in the past hour trying to reverse a reality reverse fallacy, where they're claiming because when you measure the distance to when you measure the angle to Polaris, if you use the angle as a height for Polaris, that the height continually changes depending on your position in reference to Polaris. And so that means that the Earth has to be a globe.
what?
Right? Yeah,
Hold on, what? Hold on. That's a non
That's how
sequitur.
stupid it is.
It's not a reversal of
unbelievably
reality
stupid.
fallacy. It's a non sequitur fallacy.
Oh, no, but the person, the last person that did this with me, he's a really, really sneaky, scummy lawyer. So I hope he's hearing this within the past hour or so. And he constantly begs the question, but he does it in really, really underhanded, sneaky ways. And he gets away with it with other people, but he doesn't get away with it with me. So what he's trying to do is take reality, which is we take angles to Polaris or any other star, and when that angle changes, if we use the angle as a height to Polaris, right, not just a distance to its GP, then that height changes, right? Because you can't find out the height of celestial objects with angles. And so this proves the globe, supposedly, because in their model, you have this big mathematical thing goes on. But obviously, he's after forgetting that Polaris, even in his own model, continually changes its distance from his globe.
Hold
But
on,
matter.
Hold on, Brian. In the context of what we're currently talking about more than anything else. So he's saying the angles measured to Polaris, you say? What's the issue there, Brian?
Yeah. Because that needs a 90 degree, which you can't have on a surface of a globe.
So the first part of his claim, that would be the angles that are going to be measured require a
Yeah,
flat
that's
plane.
exactly what I said to him, yeah. That's the very start, yeah.
So no claim, without a flat earth then. A bit like Conspiracy Cats when he had to give it us. You know, first he's got to give us a flat earth, then he's going to measure his angles, then he's going to beg the question of a ever-increasing height value that's being extrapolated from these not actual positions. That would be the stars. No. First you need a flat plane to measure your angle.
It's better than that, Nathan. What he's actually stating is that by debunking reality, that proves the globe. So that instantaneously makes a globe fantasy, doesn't it?
I see.
Because you have to debunk reality to prove this globe.
Well, debunking his reality, but when he was doing it, he was measuring a flat plane to do it.
Yeah, but his claim was that he, without saying reality, he was debunking reality. His claim involved debunking of reality. See, this is his whole claim, and that proved the globe, because he had an angle, right, that would not give you a consistent height to a celestial object, and so that debunked that the Earth could be flat, right, and it proves a globe.
No, it doesn't though.
But you,
That's non
yeah, but
sequitur.
it doesn't. But this is the thing. This is where this is how slimy this guy is. He actually tries to debunk reality, and then claim proof of globe. So that he's instantaneously saying globe is just a fantasy, because he has to remove all reality for globe to be real.
I think what Brian is saying is he has to deny what an angle is to prove that he's on a globe.
Yeah, and yeah, he has to deny reality. The reality is we take different angles. We take an angle to a celestial object, and if that moves or we move, then the angle will change. So if you use that as a height, the height will never be consistent, so you can never get a height. So, but he's starting off by saying that because of that, that means that debunks flat Earth and proves a globe. It's like, no, you can't do these things without flat Earth. That is just reality. You can't use angles to get a height to a celestial object. So he's debunking reality to prove a globe. Go on.
The minute they say angle, it's over.
Exactly. But Brian did say that was the first thing he said.
Yeah,
actually, that's what I said. That's what I said yesterday. That just the use of the word angle just destroys their whole idea. Like, like it's done after that.
Yeah, this all starts from I saw him using this argument against other people I think it was on one of Flat Size videos or something, and I asked him what height is Polaris when it's at your 90, and he won't answer it. This is the third reply I've gotten from him, or second or third reply I think I've gotten off him, and he won't answer what height is Polaris at your 90, because there is no angle then, because he was trying to use everything off of 90 as some kind of a debunking of reality to prove his globe. So what height is it at your 90? And he won't answer that.
He needs a flat Earth for it.
It destroys his whole argument.
Yeah, that's his elevation angle. Yeah, he needs a 90, he needs a flat Earth for it.
Yeah, there's no particular height at your 90, is it? You can't figure out, how do you figure out? You don't have an angle, you don't have anything.
Yeah. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No, it's just a descriptive model that doesn't describe very well.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Isn't this going well? Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No.
Wow, Brian, you're a machine.
I think everyone else is not going to answer. Just get it over with, isn't it?
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
No.
Black Swan.
Okay, well, I think we've got a bit of a presentation from Adam, which I'm quite excited to hear because he's doing some very exciting studies at the moment. If you're hoping for globe proof / flat Earth debunkings out of them, you may not get that. Still exciting nonetheless.
Been like a bit of pressure. Yeah, let me scratch it. It's more just a point of interest that came out of some of this stuff we're doing. Over there. So we were talking earlier about the sky map. So I'm kind of looking at it, and whether it's this image or these kind of old images, Middle Ages maps, we have certain designations that exist. So the Arctic, Antarctic circles, the equator, and the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. And we know why the equator is called the equator, and I think most people know why Capricorn and Cancer are there. These are the positions that the sun travels to with its GP, the extremities. So the sun will travel between the equator to Cancer and Cancer back to the equator to Capricorn and repeat throughout within 1 year. And as you can see here, look, So this is a fairly old map. You can look at any maps, even today's maps, Google Earth. These things are still labelled the Tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Now, the way in which this is defined, it works in relation to the sphere of the heavens. And these things define within the ephemeris. Things this equator here, like where the March equinox is. This is how things are set up. And if you see from the grid, then at the top of the zodiac, you've got Cancer and then Capricorn at the bottom. That shows the extremities from the March equinox. So when the equinox is in Aries, this is when Cancer will be at the summer and winter solstices, Cancer and Capricorn. And this is how the names are defined. As in, this is where the position of the sun is in the great year. So each of these lasts about 2,000 years. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Each rotation takes about 2,000 years for it to move those 15 degrees. And this is where it comes from. So we are actually, and have been some time in the age, we're about to enter the age of Aquarius. So this is how the zodiac lines up now. And as we enter the age, but for 2,000 years, we've been in the age of Pisces. Okay, so the solstice starts in Pisces. Can anybody see that the obvious issue here? For the past 2,000 years, tropics should have been called Gemini and Sagittarius. It's only when we're in the age of Aries, the ram, right, which is at the cusp of Christ. Aries is ending 2,000 years ago, and it run for the previous 2,000 years. So my point is, the point of definition of these tropics, Cancer and Capricorn, comes from a definition over 2,000 years ago. For some reason, we still sit here. This is how it should have been for all of navigation. Now, the question I ask is why? Why are all these charts drawn where apparently we're making these things up and discovering them new? Why would we define these lines as those tropics if we were discovering them new? We would describe them as the tropics of Gemini and Sagittarius, not from a date 2,000 years before to define them. Unless, of course, we weren't discovering these things new and they were adopted.
Unless they were just a pattern.
There you go.
They are a
So
pattern. That's not the point he's making. Maybe reiterate your point, Adam, because it hasn't sunk home clearly.
Okay. So when these tropics are defined, it is to do with the position of the stars 2,000 or more years ago, during the age of Aries. So this is pre-Christ, okay, when these lines are drawn. During the age of Aries, during the Israelite times, Jesus is born on the cusp of Aries and Pisces. And so Aries takes, like I said, 2,000 years for the procession, for the stars to move out of Aries and into Pisces. So all of Pisces is from the time of Christ up until now. And this is where the stars are now. We're at the point of, we're at the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Yeah. So this is how the stars are lining up now. So technically, we're going to be entering, instead of Gemini and Sagittarius, we're going to be entering Taurus and Scorpio, would be the actual correct definitions for the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. And they only come from over 2,000 years ago. For 2,000 years, the previous 2,000 years, we should have been calling them the tropics of Gemini and Sagittarius, because at the March equinox, the zodiac sits in Pisces, and that's what defines these things. That's what defines the ephemeris. I find it very strange that if these things do not predate Christ and all of these mechanisms and all of this way of measuring the stars, why is the derivation relate to a time over 2,000 years ago. And for 2,000 years, we should have been using these denominations, and we should now be switching to considering pretty soon, saying we're in the dawn age of Aquarius, and therefore it's Taurus and Scorpio that should be the designated names of the tropics.
So you're saying if they're claimed to be discovered recently, they'd be named after the tropics they related to, but obviously it seems they've been passed down because the naming structures based on the positions of the stars 2,000 years ago, and that's what the tropics have been named after. Well, they've never been renamed, and if they'd recently been discovered, they wouldn't have been given that names. It's not like it's traditional.
No, it's not like 300 or 400 years ago, or 500, or even 1,000 years ago that the shift happened. The shift happened 2,000 years. So for all of known history, we've been using a chart that doesn't relate to our history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Read into that what you will. Thank you, Adam. Was there any more to that?
No, it was literally that kind of side point. Just interesting to see. The reason I find it interesting is that these things are handed to us. We talk about that. We NASA use the ephemera. These things come, I think, from a lot older. And to try and pretend that all of this data and information is at the point in the late 1600s, 17s, where they're inventing watches to navigate to match all of this up. It shows to me that the data and the understanding came from thousands of years before, i.e., as demonstrated by the way in which the tropics are named. And they're named in relation to the position of the precession.
Brilliant. Thank you. Very interesting.
Yeah, Adam, sure, the likes of Kepler and them were astrologers. So where did they get their information from? All they did is took the information they had. That's all Kepler did, and manipulated and back engineered into a heliocentric Copernican model. So they are taking credit for something they never did. If you know what I mean, our history is telling us that these people were pioneers when they weren't. They got the information and they manipulated it to suit the narrative.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
all
never
they
get that.
did.
We'll never get that information. It's all in the Pope's library, if it exists at all. If it's not been burnt already.
A lot of that history I don't buy anyway. I think a lot of that shit's been manipulated.
Totally. And this is my point. If it hasn't, why were they adopting something that didn't exist? You wouldn't name it that if you invented it. Because the way in which it's defined is really interesting, the tropics. You see, there's a lot of old knowledge. The tropics are the thing that they try to pretend is the reason we're tilting. Yeah, it's the thing that they try to put us tilt. Yeah. So it's one of the things that shows precession exists, but it also shows that it's the stars that are wobbling, because the equinox, the tropics do what they do, and it's supposed to be the Earth that's wobbling. That they try to claim this precession, this movement of the tropics. Now there may be movement of the tropics, but it's not related to precession, because if it was related to precession, then things like Bruna Boyne, the pyramids, anything that aligns to the solar celestial clock would be affected by the precession. Now, Bruna Boyne's the oldest one, Brian, that I know. That's like 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
And the sun still rises at the equinox into Bruna Boyne. Now, that demonstrates that precession has not affected sun position. Yet we know it. So it's showing that the sun and earth are intrinsically linked. They don't step out, and it doesn't, and the precession of the stars does not affect the path of the sun. And therefore it shows you can't have the precession effect on the earth. It has to be the stars that's having the precessive effect. Otherwise the sun would be subject to it, and all the ancient monuments would not line up. See, the pyramids line up with all of the stars, and that's why they say they change over time. Right? It's why pyramids were supposed to line up with Leo and stuff. That's why they date it to that. But the sun was always the same. So the stars at the equinox in the pyramids and all that now have changed, but the sun still at the equinoxes at the same date lines up. And that, to me, demonstrates precession is due to movement of the star field and not the Earth.
Adam Meakin, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you here.
He's a legend.
Always a legend. But I got a question. So do you think you think it's they just kept it like that because they're trying to keep in line with the story of their heliocentric model with the sun? Because obviously the tilt is what they say is the reason for the temperature difference, right? Where technically at this time of the year, we're technically, 3 million miles closer to the sun, but yet the temperature in the northern quote-unquote hemisphere is less like than it would be normally. So you
Remember,
think that's
remember, Chocolate, they claim parallel sun rays also. Think about that and think about their tilt. Yeah. There is no angle. You know what I mean? They're trying to claim a different angle. They're trying to claim that a different angle that the sun rays hitting us in the north there, where is the reason why we have a change in temperature. It's not, you know, but yet they're claiming parallel sun rays. You know, it's complete and utter nonsense.
It's so stupid.
The tilt, the reason
That's
for
how
the
the tilt would make the big difference, right?
Yeah, the only reason the Kepler has the tilt in there at all is because of the sun cycle. Because the sun does appear to drop in the sky. Even on the Gleason's map shows with the two equinox parts down at the bottom how the sun covers a greater area on June the 21st than it does on December 21st. Because he's basically stating that the sun is closer to the Earth's surface on December 21st. So that's the reason for the tilt. And that, like, I can't say for definite the sun drops in the sky, but I can show these things on the Gleason's map. I can show that from my location, the sun does appear to drop in the sky. Its altitude, let's just say, in relation to Earth. And they can photograph it where it appears to be bigger. Supposedly, I had a photograph before where they had a comparison from June 21st to December 21st. And it appears bigger on December 21st because as in Kepler's model, we're closer to it, right? But is it that it's closer to us? And then you have Newgrange, which is what Adam was talking about earlier, which is 6,000 years old. And on the 21st and 22nd, the mornings of the 21st and 22nd of December, in a few days' time, that sun will shine directly into that chamber and at no other time during the year. After that, it will rise again.
As it's done year after year for the past 6,000 years. That's the point. That thing is still aligned. No precession.
But isn't the tilt just satanic? It's like claimed to be, right? It's Earth bowing to the sun, 66.6 degrees, right? Off horizontal?
No, that's numerology. It's numerology. People think it's 666. It's 666 adds up to 18, which adds up to 9. 23.4 adds up to 9. It's all about 9. It's numerology. So everything, there's all kinds of stuff within everything heliocentric that comes back to 9. Because 9, there's a lot of stuff in actual reality that adds up to 9. So it's like they're kind of, the best way to describe it, whoever they are, they're trying to replicate the creator. You know.
Sure.
9 is the highest digit in the universe.
Before we get into the numbers, but while it might be the case, yes, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying in literal terms, it's hard to phrase this because it's not. It's in reified literal terms. Earth's bowing towards the sun, though, isn't it? That's the tilt.
Yeah, it does give that. Yeah, if you want to see it visually, yeah.
John Lennon.
You broke up with that, Neil.
Of October.
He was a very wise man, John Lennon.
Well, once he was going to come out with all the stuff we knew, they shot him.
Citation,
What
please.
did they say, Neil?
He's saying that he was about to come out with all this information, and as a result, this pop star got shot. Of course.
Correct. By some guy in Hawaii that got into a military stance. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That bit we we're not contesting that bit. We're contesting the bit where you say he was about to drop the bombshell of all of the information that any conspiratard ever wants to lay at his door. He was about to come out with that information, then they shot him.
Yeah, he was going to come out that Earth is flat.
I was waiting for that. Bollocks, was he?
Well, some people say he was going to come out with the fact that Paul McCartney is really
Some
dead,
people.
and he's William Campbell.
Some people, eh? Citation, please. This is where you ask for a citation, Neil.
But for some reason, I can't imagine that.
Good one, Ted.
Right.
Well, it happened
See,
yesterday.
hold on. We were talking to appeal to authority earlier, right, on the pre-show, and we got into, well, when is a citation required, and when is it necessarily acceptable to demand one? Right. When you've got a little just so story claim that John Lennon was going to reveal to the world that Earth was flat, and as a consequence got shot, right, as a result of some people, that's where I'm perfectly legitimately within my rights to go, citation, please.
Okay, I cited it.
That's bollocks then. Just made it up on the spot.
I think what Adam has presented today is all about us getting back to where we once belonged.
Can I ask a question about the stars?
You threatening me, Irish?
No, I said that's what Adam presented today is all about us getting back to where we once belonged.
Yeah, I heard what you said.
Yeah, I got it.
Did you say?
I'm even more scared.
Did you say me and Irish?
I think Nathan was just trying to let it be.
No, that was yesterday. Ted, man, let me ask you a question about the stars. Is it true that that star that was the sign of Christ being born appeared only that one time?
I don't know. I'd have to do research on that. I know that they were, at the time of Daniel with the Persians, the prophecy was there, and those people stayed on it. That's as far as I got my research. And then
okay, let's let it be. Shout out to Shatner's Bassoon, who's become a member for 10th month as a penguin. Thank you very much. Says huge thanks for another year of I can't read it, it's too small and complicated. Can anyone read his message?
Huge thanks.
Go on.
Well, I just got on my iPad. Huge thanks for another year of emancipatory truth.
Emancipatory.
Emancipatory. Yeah.
Emancipatory. I can't read it. It's too small. I'm back to using the little monitor. I probably wouldn't have been able to read that anyway.
I'm saying
Huge
that.
thanks for another year of emancipatory truth.
What's emancipatory? What does that mean?
To emancipate something is to set free.
To set free.
Correct. Can I get back to my star? Because Rob Skiba was saying that he tracked that star all the way back, and the original birth of Christ was on 9/11.
Oh, gosh.
I just want to jump in if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Please do.
The star that was like said to have been in the sky, they actually, I guess, like through astronomy or whatever, they said that it was actually an alignment of like certain stars, I guess some even, planets or whatnot, wandering stars, and that's what made it so bright in the sky. It was because there was multiple stars in alignment or in a cluster, if you will, all together, and that's what made it so bright, and that's what the wise men had to follow. And I guess over all the years, passing through, you're never going to see that star again because it was a particular cluster of stars that were of that night. I that's what they, said, I guess. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's saying it's the planets, not the stars.
Can we come together and give an answer?
Well, it was a combination of.
Well, if you were back in the USSR, you might know something.
I got a feeling this isn't
That
going to
was
get answered.
yesterday.
think you used it twice, Neil.
Nobody's hearing me.
We're hearing you. We're just ignoring you.
But as far as the date of the birth, yeah, it would have been in September. You could trace that back through the scriptures. It would have been.
That's Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. That's not Beatles, so you're off.
Hold up.
Anyway, why is it always in my life?
Hello, chaos, audio chaos. Anyway, from me to you, I think we covered this yesterday.
Just to check, have I missed Christmas then?
I don't know. This is making me want to twist and shout.
The 9/11 thing, I remember that coming up before. I think QE brought it up. And when you use the moon calendar, which would have been the older calendar, when you use the moon calendar, it all connects to number 9. So Jesus' birthday, right? The character of Jesus, his birthday would have been on the 252nd day of the year, which is 9. And I worked it all out before. There was several other things that matched it to 9. So 9 is the number.
Yeah, but think about it. If it was 9/11? How can anybody ever celebrate the Lord's birthday on 9/11 now? So maybe it is true, and these psychopaths had this event take place, so we can never really have his birthday on the proper day. Makes sense to me.
What the hell are you babbling about?
I would say these people.
Very simple.
I think what he's trying to say is like 9/11. The way
No. Don't reiterate what he's trying to. No. I got that bit, Chocolate. Yeah.
Chocolate understands.
Hold on. Paula's covered this. Paula, Bible literalist now, level up. He's in the chat right now as I glance across because I can actually look at my chat when I start mentioning things like this. She's covered this, right, in terms of that date structure. And I can't remember if she confirmed or denied. She was vague from my memory. Certainly didn't tie it to that specific date if it was in September, which I think it may have been. But either way, sort of, so what? Mid-September is what they might claim it is. Whoopee-doo. You want to tie that into conspiratard nonsense about 9/11? Ugh.
No, I'm just saying.
It wouldn't
so
have been
sad.
9/11.
The 9th month is actually November. The 9th month is actually November.
Yeah, not when
That
Jesus
blows my
was
whole
born.
thing out of the
Oh,
water.
Neil.
It's 11/9 for us.
It's
11/9 for us.
wrapping these numbers around modern times. And those numbers didn't exist then. The different calendar. Julian calendar, not Gregorian for a start. August was, September, October. October's called what? December's called what? The 10th month. Just think none of these things matter. And back in the day, as I showed you with that, right, everything was guided by the stars. Okay, your calendar's set by the stars. Well, I just demonstrated when the year starts. It doesn't start January the 1st.
Oh, I know that.
The March
I know that.
equinox. Right, so there's day 1 of your year. So if you're going to count from March. Or see, what you've got to do, is what I've showed you there, is go back and figure out where the equinox is in that point. But you're starting from March still. Yeah, you're not starting from this year. So any numerology that you think you can read into stuff now, 9/11. Well, 9/11's not 9/11 in the old calendar, is it? So
I just want to say it wouldn't have.
What calendar are we going by now?
Hold on. Did everyone listen? Did anybody listen to what Adam says? It's like everyone just whistles past the graveyard, don't they, Adam? Did anyone just listen to what Adam just...
I heard him.
I heard him loud and clear, but I'm saying, what calendar are we going by now? What are the psychopaths going by?
Who cares? We're talking about Christ's birthday versus 9/11 when we started off talking about the physical locations of stars when doing triangulation. What is going on? What's going on?
I told you, it's helter-skelter. Just get off this.
what's God's calendar, Neil? If any
I'm
numerology is
saying-
going to align with anything, and if you're going to do anything, you've got at least got to go to the Hebrew calendar. If you're going to write, Jewish calendar, and even then, I would suggest to you, God's calendar is the heavens. So any numerology stuff you want to read into it, you've got to take it from there, not conspiracy.
That's the point, though. When you take, here's the thing: when you take the Jewish calendar that they went by, and you overlap it even in today's calendar that we follow, their calendar, it would land in what we call September. Like that's the year of Rosh Hashanah, right? That's like the holiest festival that they have, that they celebrate. And it even correlates with, that's why it would make sense that they couldn't find a place to stay for Mary to have that immaculate birth, because all of the rooms were booked, because everybody from around the city, outside the city on Rosh Hashanah, everyone would come into town and stay at all the lodges. So it even makes sense in that sense, like in that case. So it's the mid-September though. If you look at Rosh Hashanah, it's always celebrated in mid-September, not 9/11 on our day, but in today's day, it falls in like almost like by the 20th. And you actually have to go through the scriptures, and you have to look at when Elizabeth's husband was taking watch at the temple, because every eighth week he was in charge of it. But there was it's deep, but there was like a special holiday. Then he had to actually work 2 weeks in the temple. He comes home. We find out it's 3 months. Mary's been the baby kicks inside Mary, right? And then we know that 3 months after that, John the Baptist was born, who is Yeshua's or Jesus's cousin, born through Elizabeth. So I mean, you could track it back, but it falls in mid-September, not 9/11. That's like totally like that's nonsense, because Rosh Hashanah doesn't fall on 9/11. First of all, in our calendar, and it does correlate with the original calendar, the Jewish calendar, because you're saying it goes, but they used to go by the lunar calendar as well. But anyways, it all matches up.
I was just going by what Rob Skiba said.
A long and winding road.
That's where my numerology came in, using the moon calendar, because that's the old calendar. So not just mixing up a load of nonsense into some new calendar we're given. The old calendar, which is the moon calendar, would make, if 9/11 was the actual date, then it would make Jesus' birthday on the 252nd day of the year. 2 + 5 + 2 is 9. And I have more than that, but I'm not going to go into all of that now.
I just had ancient Jews use the zodiac. They're stuff lines now. So this is something that was discovered. I think this is what's written in the Bible that was supposedly needed to be destroyed. The animals of one of the temples. It was buried and then rediscovered, whether it was ever destroyed. But again, this is in one of the early synagogues, and this is quite common in really old synagogues, is to have a zodiac. Again, but they're not astrology. They're not, trying to get the fortune. It's God's calendar. It's how everything is defined in terms of what's happening, and the use of the stars, time, date, etc. So this was an integral part of it, and I would suggest Jewish. The early first and second temple stuff is all using the stars to generate a calendar, and their month systems as well.
Quick shout out to Ben White. He says, I started out with nothing, and I still have most of it. Support what you like, or it goes away. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed, Ben.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Keep going, Adam. Don't let me down.
That was literally it. It was just, I think it's very difficult to try and place these things. The Bible's not specific as far as I can see. You're given clues, and most scholars agree to disagree on it. You can come up with, I think, a plausible thing. That Rosh Hashanah bit, I think, is probably more pertinent and has more sense from a scriptural sense, because it's the Day of Atonement, isn't it? It's where you atone for your sins. So for Jesus to be born around that festival, I think, would be highly appropriate, wouldn't it? If he's there for everybody else's atonement, be a nice time to be born, wouldn't it? It would fit sensibly to me. But
the start of the year in different cultures happens differently. In Japan, it's in April, when I'm not sure the exact date, it's the 4th or 14th or something, and it's when the cherry blossoms come out. That's the start of their new year. The Celts, it was the 1st of November. Halloween was the last day of the year. 1st of November was the start of the new year. So these are all old things. Like, these aren't things that just happened recently. These are old. So there has to be a reason for it. I know, like, obviously, the Celts viewed the 1st of November as the start of winter, basically, or whatever. But, it was the start of the darker.
That's why Washington's covered in that colour cherry blossom tree. So they were a gift from Japan. If you go around Washington, they're covered in those Japanese trees, and they were given to them as a gift. But that's also the colour of the STI badge on a Subaru. So it's got more and more red over the years, but it's basically pink, right? That cherry blossom red is pink. And you know the history, I don't need to repeat it, you've just gone through it. But yeah, it's got a lot of significance.
And Sergeant Pepper's, Paul McCartney's sitting down with his legs folded Indian style, and on his uniform, it's OPD, officially pronounced dead.
Yeah, can you let it be with the Beatles reference, please?
The cherry blossom to the Japanese, it doesn't have any medicinal or any purposes in that at all. Their old claim, I don't know what they claim now, but I know for definite that the old ancient claim was that the cherry blossom had only one purpose, and that was beauty. And that was the point of it, that the creator put it there purely for beauty at the start of the new year or whatever. But it's just purely a beauty.
Right, hold on. Yeah, you've got there quickly than I thought. Start of the new year. When do they come into blossom?
I'm not sure. I think it's April, is it? I know it's around the time of Japanese.
Oh, shocking. Yeah. Right, so not December. Not December the 1st. That's shocking.
January the 1st, you mean?
You know what I meant.
No, not that time. No.
Yeah, New Year's been fudged with, well and truly. You know, we celebrate New Year. In this country, we go out on the lash, go drinking. And that's what, at the darkest, coldest time of the year, when everything's dead and dying and covered in snow. New, yeah. Whatever you say.
I've celebrated New Year with 6 feet of snow on the ground, so that makes no sense.
It makes absolutely zero sense. New Year's spring.
The Persian New Year is called Nowruz. I'm not pronouncing it right. And it's I'm just looking it up because I remember my mom calling me and saying, "Hey, it's the Persian New Year," and it was always different, right? So it says here, Persian New Year, also known as Nowruz, is the Iranian New Year, the first day of spring, March 20th, 21st, 22nd, depending on the year. Nowruz is one of the most ancient celebrations in the history, which has been celebrated for more than 3,000 years in what is now Iran, and in the extended cultural area known as the Greater Iran.
Just the purpose of moving it is, as with everything, the redesignation of months, is to create a disconnect between the information we're given in the heavens and what we experience here. It's to disconnect the two. It's part of the time movements and everything.
I agree.
That's the only thing I'd say in terms of why New Year goes to the end of December would be a slight on the Catholic Church and their pagan origins. It's to allow the continuance of the festival of Saturnalia. So they merge Christmas, New Year, and you've got all those festivities and revelries in there, which is that same ancient time of Saturnalia, which is based around the winter solstice, which is drinking, debauchery, etc., etc.
Did you say salmonella?
Saturnalia.
It's based around Saturn, is it?
Yeah, which is the ancient Roman and pagan celebration that goes off around the winter solstice, which is a Bacchus cult. So it's a enjoyment, carnal pleasure time.
Yeah.
Do we worship Saturn on Saturday? Is that what they're supposed to do?
Part of it, I think. Saturnalia was a specific cult, I think, to, like I said, more to do with earthly pleasures and stuff. And I think it's like a week's long festivities. It used to be.
Chocolate.
Last 10 minutes.
Hang on, chocolate. If you know Saturday, then you can plan it.
With the last 10 minutes of the live show, can we talk about the horizon?
No.
All right. Back to planets and gods.
Wait. Would that be the visible one or the non-visible visible?
Well, that's the thing, because you guys know I love my song that I clipped Nathan in Admasto, a.k.a. I mean, his name changes every 5 minutes, so I don't know. But he said to Nathan, nobody claims that what you're viewing when you're looking at the horizon is the geometric horizon. And Nathan says that's fascinating, but to do geometry, though, it has to be geometric. So I'm just thinking, why do they keep saying that? Especially when you Google the geometric horizon, it says the local horizon, also called the geometrical horizon, is the visible boundary between the earth and sky. The local horizon may include trees, buildings, and mountains. The geographic horizon is the apparent boundary between the earth and sky. So the geometric horizon is the one that we're looking at, that they're talking about. Why are they saying that that's not the case? Can any of you globe earthers explain what the discrepancy is about?
I don't know, but I think we can work it out.
Let them work it out.
I can't believe it. You're always on my puns, and you've been dribbling in every session with puns with the Beatles here.
What's
Help.
amazing me is I'm the
Help.
biggest Beatle fan, and I can't come up with one today.
I need some help.
I got you, Tim.
Thanks, Adam. Do you have me Adam, do you have me 8 days a week?
I got one. I've got a feeling this is going to go on for a long time.
Not yet, but by the time I'm 64, I will.
When I'm 64. Anyway, if you don't know, if yous didn't get I've got a feeling, then yous don't know the Beatles.
Well, the truth is, I didn't have to do any searching. They just come to me.
That's sick.
Let me go back to the equinox then. Just one last interesting thing that does relate to maybe why they put Christmas there, and that's because Christmas does coincide with the winter solstice, where the sun is at its lowest, and for 3 days it sits on the horizon, doesn't it? It descends. It doesn't go lower. It doesn't go higher. In terms of its behavior between the tropics. So that may be the point, because this is the point of the new, some people consider the new year, the rebirth of the sun, which is when it starts to come back from the south to us. I say in these 3 days, which is synonymous with how many days Jesus was away for, after crucifixion. So that may be a way of laying old traditions and new traditions together so that they have a relevance. The new religion has a relevance to the old customs, and that might be why you place it there, because there would have been that, and you can then use the stories of Christ and the resurrection to explain what's going off in the stars now. So that might be a reason for placing it there as well.
You're saying they're substituting Jesus and saying, here comes the sun?
I'm saying when you're putting stuff together for pagans.
Very good.
If you ever get on me for punning, Nathan, I'm going to refer to the show.
Well, I mean, they were only like fools on the hill.
Listen, for somebody who don't like the Beatles, Nathan, boy, you sure know a lot of songs.
Ah, you're a bad boy. Anyway, carry on, Adam.
That was it. Again, just a thought as to what's Paul to say. This will be Jesus rising from the dead has exactly nothing to do with some allegory. I didn't say. I don't know if she's addressing me there. I'm saying that might be why, if you've got certain areas, why it would be sensible to link it with other already occurring festivities. that would seem a sensible way of incorporating into it as you're traveling, you know, to celebrate Jesus' birth at this time. This is the birth of the sun, as these pagans see it. Right, well, let's just hijack that, and we'll designate it as the birth of Jesus. Doesn't have to be the exact date, but we're taking over those existing festivals. That would seem historically.
Nathan, that George Washington thing you were talking about with the cherry blossoms,
Yeah.
where'd you get that information?
On a car show about the STI Subaru Impreza. So do you think
So I was thinking, how do you know it wasn't
Go on.
Strawberry Fields?
I didn't. It's not. It's Cherry Blossom Fields, but there we go. So, Adam, do they keep this information known through things like, you know, the Masons? It's just you find out as you go higher up in the ranks, you know. Someone just sits next to you one day in the lodge and nudges you and says, do you want to know a secret?
Oh,
I think there'd be more. That would be more just general scholarly understanding of the spread of Christianity and that. It's not. But Masons would have something very, very different, wouldn't they? It would be.
Do you want to know a secret?
Kabbalistic stuff, yeah.
You promise not to tell. Whoa.
You know, when this show re-airs, trying to unpack it's going to make for a hard day's night.
Yeah, with all these,
Just let it be. Just let it be.
With all these puns, I'm so tired.
That's a good one. See, at the end of that song, he mumbles, Paul is a dead man. Miss him if you play it backwards.
Oh, my
wow.
God.
I didn't know.
Oh,
Neil,
dear.
you play
Right, hold on.
serious.
Stop. It's the first time I've ever got to plug this. Go and check out or do a search for Ethan Weiner's audio workshop. And I think it's called something like Audio Myths Debunked. And there's a very nice lady in that called Poppy. I can't remember her surname to credit her, but she's the first presentation in that hour-long presentation where Ethan Weiner does his Audio Myths workshop. Anyway, what she discusses is backmasking, which is playing a record backwards and listening to various crap come out of the other end of the speakers when you do that. And they had Led Zeppelin, and she plays Led Zeppelin in reverse to the audience and asks them what they can hear. And everyone's looking at each other going, I don't know, I haven't got a clue. It sounds like a load of old nonsense to me. She says, what about now? She does the same thing, but on a projected image, she shows some subtitles. And as it goes, it says, I really do worship Satan. And everyone goes, oh, I heard him say, I worship Satan then. That time I heard it. Because it was on the subtitles. Right? So check out Ethan Weiner's Audio Myths Workshop, where he debunks a load of crap about audio interconnect cables, hi-fi power conditioners, various other complete unregulated crap that gets sold. But also, backmasking was the first presentation, just for your benefit.
I guarantee he ain't debunking any of the Beatles stuff, because they put it there deliberately. It was all about selling records after they broke up.
I think you have to ask Eleanor Rigby about that.
Okay, well, either way,
that was a great one. Do you want to know a secret?
If I ever needed someone to debunk audio myths, Ethan Weiner would be the person.
I'm going to look into it. And by the way, I subscribed to Jose J.G. Boom, and I was not happy how he made a mocking video about Arwen because he misrepresented him, okay? So you do something nice, and you get a guy coming out with that. Not cool.
Just subscribe to that clown.
But I still haven't finished plugging Ethan Weiner's audio workshop. It won't be long before everyone's going and we're looking at that.
See, you're going to ignore the whole Jose G. Boom nonsense.
Look, I plugged him because I felt sorry that he'd lost his channel. That doesn't mean I'll watch him. What do you want? I'm not watching this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
saying,
Jose,
but
if you're watching.
you do something nice, and then he turns around and sticks somebody in the panel. Not
Who lost
cool.
his channel? JG lost his channel?
Yeah.
Did you expect Jose to do something different?
At least if you're gonna make a joke about it, at least let it be known that it's a joke and you're taking a shot at him.
I'm not taking a
you
shot
watch
at him.
the
I was
video,
that's not what I said.
No,
that
I'm
wasn't
talking
what I
about
did. No.
Arwen.
It's not. I wasn't taking a shot at him. Oh, you're talking about him and Arwen.
Yes.
Oh, now and then I get confused.
Neil, I wouldn't worry because Owen will be fine. He'll get by with a little help from his friends, won't he?
Yeah, like me, because I consider you guys my friends, and when someone strikes us, I strike back.
Over your head. Come on, it's pun day.
No, I got it. It's a Beatles song. I got it.
But we don't need a revolution.
From our friends, I know. Revelation. Okay, great. It's revolution.
He said revolution.
Which one? Number 9, number 1, or revolution? There's 3 of them.
I don't know, but if your car breaks
what
down,
was
don't get
said
a
has
ticket
been
to-
lost. Okay,
Hang on.
it's lost in a
Hang
sea of
on.
time.
What? When Neil's car breaks down, he's going to go Subway and get a ticket to ride.
Like this is miserable. It's like September in the rain.
I just wish it was yesterday.
Just let it be, guys.
That's old and used, Rams. Come on. It's been used about 100 times today.
Oh, I must have missed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
There's,
missed it
I'm only
too. I
kidding
yelled
with you,
that
bro.
one.
There's some sour milk. See?
I not to change the subject, but to go back to what we were talking about. I was going to throw in too that, do you guys know the Feast of Tabernacles? It's like 3 days after Rosh Hashanah, and that also would correlate why everyone is also in town, because the Feast of Tabernacles is extremely important. And if you read in Leviticus, like on the first day of the feast, like it says like to take like the branches of the tree, like palms, and that is like where Psalms 118 comes into play, Leviticus, like all these scriptures tie in together and make sense that would be the day of his birth. And because remember, even when he returned into Jerusalem, they said that they raised up the palms, and then that's when they told him, hey, like told everyone to be quiet because they were screaming out Hashoshana, and that's when he said, for even if you shut them up, that the rocks would cry out and praise me. But anyways, it just all ties in. That's all I'm saying.
Tell me why.
Because it makes sense that would be the day that it came up. Like logically, it makes sense that would be the day that this happened, because all those things tie in together. Let's say it would make the most sense, because if you had enough pieces to tie together, it would make sense that this is the way it was, because these pieces all fit together more than just having one piece or two pieces. When you have like 5 pieces, it just makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Okay, I think that's the end. So on that terrible pun, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is the end. And yeah, that's it. Bye for now.
What a lovely day!
So after the show, we're going to go through the things we said today.